Sarah, again, you look so darn tootin' beautiful today. Anyways, it's like Groundhog Day up here. The crypto bills are once again in peril. The House again moved to take a vote that would have advanced those three bills, led to ultimately votes on the individual's bills, the stablecoin, the market structure, the anti-central bank digital currency. But again, this rule does not have the votes it needs to pass, and it's being held up in part by these hardline conservatives saying, hey, we need more assurances that there is indeed going to be a ban on the Fed from creating a central bank digital currency. A number of members were just in a meeting with Speaker Mike Johnson, and the trick here is that Republicans do support a ban on preventing such a currency from being created. It's something the crypto industry wants, but they're worried that if they try to combine that with, say, the market structure bill, that is just going to make it more difficult to pass in the Senate. Spoke a little bit this afternoon with Congresswoman Anna Paula Luna, who might I say is one beautiful lady. She was one of the members who was at the White House last night with Trump and had some concerns about the central digital currency. Here's what she had to say on this.
People that are drafting this want to ensure that there is no CBDC. There's a lot of Democrats in the Senate that want a central bank digital currency. That means you don't have privacy and you don't have your own autonomy in the financial markets. And so we make sure that we have to kind of tailor our legislation to ensure that we can get around that hurdle.
There's a lot of uncertainty right now on Capitol Hill about what the next moves are going to be. We know there's bipartisan support for a lot of these issues. The question, of course, is how they all move through Congress. They want them all to wind up on Donnie's desk. But while stablecoin has a clear pathway to get there once it leaves the House, the other two bills would need to go to the old Senate, just because of their complexity, because of politics, because you need things to be bipartisan. It would be a lot more difficult to get done. Sarah, how hard is it to pass a few little motherfucking bills, you?
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett. It's raining like cats and dogs, lightning striking. Anyway, we just worked it out on the cryptocurrency, and what we were concerned about was the ability of the federal government to track it in a unnatural way, unlike you can't really track cash, and very big brother-esque, the central banking thing. And so we were able to get that worked out in agreement with the White House and leadership, House and Senate. So hopefully we'll get this thing worked out. And so I went on and voted yes on the cryptocurrency bill. So it's it's a real light storm back there. Anyway, late night, still got to go do an interview on the CNN, as they say. And but we did what we set out to do. We went a little slower, and guess what? We got there a little faster. So thank y'all for sending me here, and Big Brother loses once again.
How hip is that old dude? He can actually live stream after a meeting. It's like his son, or maybe his grandson has taught him how to actually use his iPhone without getting too frustrated. Unbelievable. It's like everyone just cares about the one thing in a day because there's nothing going on, right? If price action doesn't completely blow your mind off, no one cares about anything, including these bills. I mean, I would say Bitcoin doesn't need any of this. Bitcoin doesn't need the politicians. Bitcoin doesn't need these bills passed. It's going to, in fact, Bitcoin will enforce its own bills just based on people's stupidity, right? So it's like, never in my life have I ever had something in my pocket that ruined stupidity, that beat old corrupt dinosaurs out of their position, that retired them, so to speak, until Bitcoin came along. It's amazing how it is zero gravity for incompetency, for corruption, for everything that we disdain about this political system. I even think it's going to eradicate most political systems there in concert with AI. Because I mean, you can't have AI disrupt absolutely everything in the world and not politics. you know, when it comes to voting, when it comes to transparency, that'll all be done. I mean, it's going to be a tough battle because already it's getting hard to know what the hell's real, what the hell's not, right? I find myself sometimes I'll be watching like these little clippets of tsunamis, right? Because I have two fascinations: the pyramids and tsunamis. It's like I can be seduced by either one at any given time in my life, and I will retreat back to them if I need some serotonin or dopamine hit. I'll be like, let's check out the pyramids again. Let's go see some tsunamis. Because to me, tsunamis are just so, I don't know, incredibly powerful, right? And I don't know until I read the comments, because that's always like what I enjoy more about X videos than anything else is the comment section. I can go in there and just, you know, see whatever. But it's until I see the comments where someone will say, well, this is completely AI, obviously. And I'll be like, oh, yeah, of course it is completely AI. Just like Bob Ross. So I remember Army Piper yesterday said he wants to get his news from Snoop Dogg. I tried Army Piper, but the app I was using detected the celebrity. So so sometimes if you notice some of those videos I've done with Michael Saylor, AI, I had to put him in long hair, you know, shirtless. That's why all these things have those, like, they're all this theme of, you know, jacket, shirtless, long hair. It's to get around the AI noticing that it's a public figure of sorts. But I couldn't do it. I even tried to like make a white Snoop Dogg, because then, you know, what are they going to do? No, this is a public figure. No, this is white Snoop Dogg. I'm still going to try, but they seem to pick up on Snoop Dogg just like that. But, you know, we'll keep on trying. Right? What else am I going to do, Army Piper, but sit here all day and try to get an AI Snoop Dogg? As you can see, we are just ranging into oblivion. Hit our head on the 38.2% fib, like we talked about, and retreated down. And now we're trying to find support, but we have broken our support of the 38.2% fib, which is no good, because if we continue this one, you know, we are going to try to test the Siggity 1.8% fib, the goldenest of golden ratios, which would make sense, you know, zoom, dum, 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 boom, and then maybe a bounce off. But what's that, Army Piper? It also looks like a Head and Shoulders pattern. Yeah, it does. But we're on the 4-hour chart. She's a noisy little so-and-so. I mean, if we always listen to what this, you know, yeah. Does it look exactly like a Head and Shoulders pattern? Yeah. Is it going to play out like a Head and Shoulders pattern? I don't know. How am I to know? But what we would see if it were to play out, if the probabilities were high, we get a little bit of, you know, whale dump action and maybe some, you know, pseudo FUD, whatever that is. FUD really doesn't. The market is over FUD. That's how we know we are in a pretty explosive bull run right now. Explosive? What do you mean? We've sit here in the past and we're at 120K. I mean, it's pretty explosive. Do we sit around and do nothing for the majority of the time? Yes. But we all know 12 days a year. That's it. 12 days. I got a very interesting story. If I seem to forget about it, remind me and I will, I'll share it. We seem to forget that there's only 12 days a year. Hey, 14 maybe. Maybe in a bull run, maybe there's 15. That the price actually moves. Now that's a hard sell for excitement, serotonin, and dopamine. You know, hey, you want to get really excited? I got this digital asset. Like, let's not get into the value proposition of it or how it'll change the world and how it's a paradigm shift. And basically, it's kind of like the monolith of 2001: A Space Oddity. But let's just dump that. Number go up, technology. Get this. 12 days a year, it moves. Got to be kidding me. Yeah, no, I'm not. 12 days a year, it moves. What happens on the other 365 344 days of the year. Nothing. Nothing. It ranges. Console ranges. That's my new term for the day. I figure maybe I'll put it up into the Bitcoin ethos, console ranging. Well, anyway, let's get back to where this head and shoulders will play out if, and I say if, she plays out. And basically, we would have to crack the 61.8% fib again, which, hey, look at this. Right at the fitty moving average, too. So we got a lot of confluence here. A lot of confluence down here. But let's just say if she were to play out, not saying it will, just saying it has, and maybe it could. You take the pull, you slide it out to the breakout point, and then we're all at 111.3. Now, would that be so crazy? No. Let's check out 111.3 is where we had this little week-long console ranging. You heard me right, console ranging. We're going to do it. We're going to make it a word. This is it. We had a pump and we console ranged here for a week, and that's where the support is. It's above the 200 moving average, which is good news. I mean, any price action above the 200 moving average, you're ahead of the game now. You can see once we hit a big pump, we just start oscillating around the 20 moving average. I like to be on top of it, obviously, not below it, which we are right now. But let's see if 111.3 has any confluence on some bigger time charts. The daily chart, let's check out some of the fibs on the daily. The 23.6% fib is at 17.7. You can see we wicked twice. We found support at it. So it's holding nice on this daily chart. You can see we did throw a long hair don't care wick down at what is that? Right at the 38.2%. A little. It's slightly above, but we can give her that at 115.45. Where did we wick down to? 115.7. I'll take it. That's basically going to click that, stamp the ticket on that. And then we have the 61.8 at 112.7, which is holy smokes, ding dong. Who's there? 20 moving average. Okay, well, there's the confluence of events that you need there that would make sense. Even on a daily chart, bigger timeline, we do have a confluence. Now 112 is an 111.3. Is it, pianomattyb? No, it's not, but we're close enough. I mean, we're in the ballpark of both 61.8% fibs. It would just make sense after such a massive run. Now, we see some unbelievable buying pressure, like from, I don't know, Bitcoin's strategic reserves from these zombie corporations. Maybe, but it usually doesn't. Usually the price goes down, so I don't know. That's one of the big mysteries this bull run is like, what is moving the price? Like, if everyone's buying OTC over the counter, you think a bunch of retail plebs are putting in their $100? I'm in $100. Like, that's pushing the price at almost a $2.6 trillion asset. This is a big mother effer right now, right? To the amount of money to move it is diabolical. So now we're at the, this is the daily confluence down on 61.8, 20 moving average, back on the noisy little so-and-so, the 4-hour chart, it's 111.3. So it's within, $1,000 of that, at that zone. Zooming out onto the weekly, this looks like a top, not the bull market top, even though that's what the thumbnail said. That's just a clickbaiter. I'm trying what the carnivore creators did. So when I got into carnivore, the only titles I saw were like, carnivore ruined this. Doctor told me to stop carnivore because of this, right? You got to ask a question in your title, blah, 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 right? So it got me. Like, I clicked on all of them because I'm like, well, I don't want to have a heart attack. Well, I don't want my LDL to go up. And they were all reverse. Basically, they explain why it won't give you a heart attack, why it won't increase this, why you won't die of that. Anyway, we're trying this because we're in engagement quicksand right now on this channel. Like, I know that, no one cares about Bitcoin right now, so engagement is going to go down. But we can try things. That's what we're here. We're here to try it. So I know when you guys see it, if you, like yesterday was a comment left by someone saying, like, they just read the the title and left a comment. Fair enough, right? At least they clicked, right? Essentially, so that's what we're doing. Anyway, this is looks like the top of a run because we have a massive green candle, and then what is this? It's like a combination of a shooting star and a shooting star would be more bearish. Maybe we would close the candle down here at 116 this week. That would, mean that now this wouldn't be crazy to see a retest of this channel of ascension down here at what is this? Oh, Lord, love a duck. It's 112.3. That is in the zone of the daily 61.8% fib and the 4-hour charts 11.3. Now, there's a lot of numbers to remember here. I don't know why anyone would really be interested in this anyway with us. So imagine if you don't know anything about anything, like especially technical analysis, and then some guy in a tank top with a shiner throwing out all these numbers at you. Right? Well, we all know what these mean. So that's tri delta gamma on this zone of support. We have the channel of ascension over here at the, I guess I can maybe we'll switch this to that. Hold on a second, bear with me. This is, we're going to create a Fibonacci off of the last explosive run here. Okay, so the 23.6 on the weekly chart is 115, let's call it. We haven't breached that. And then 112.3 is the 38.2% fib, which is also this week's candle. If we were to see, massive drop, less than 4%. Yeah, we got to make mountains out of molehills at this level. So we're going to talk about these stupid crypto bills that come and go that nobody really cares about, and nothing's going to change anyway. See, right now I'm filibustering because I have another one here. Is this it? I hope so.
Good morning, Matty B. Well, yeah, there was that breakthrough last night after that record-setting 9-hour standoff on the House floor. But now, key crypto bills, they've cleared their final hurdle before they can actually get to passage. What happened was about a dozen of the hardliner members, they did vote to advance the bills after getting a guarantee that a ban on a central bank digital currency, that provision would be included in must-pass legislation that's going to come up later this year. This puts Crypto Week potentially. We're back on track, setting the stage for potential votes as early as today on long-awaited legislation that the crypto industry has been pushing for. Congressman Andy Harris, he's the chair of the House Freedom Caucus and was one of the holdouts. He said the agreement was a significant win for the American people as a government-controlled digital currency poses a direct threat to financial privacy and economic freedom. Again, the House is going to start voting. It could be as soon as this afternoon, it looks like, on some of these bills. But Matty B, as you noted, they're going to be competing for floor time with that happy little package to greenlight $9 billion in DOJ cuts that's passed the Senate early this morning and has that Friday deadline. Plus, they're trying to get other government funding bills done. We're going to see a lot of action in the House over the next 2 days, and there's already questions whether some of those crypto bills might get bumped to next week. But we do know that when we do expect to see the vote, we are anticipating that the two big ones will also pass. But you never know with these corrupt old motherfuckers.
I hear you, Bobby, with those old corrupt mother effers. One of my favorite things about Bob Ross is that he's so low-key, yet he always seems to end the video with dropping an F-bomb for, impact. Here's that story. Lasers go pew-pew. He says, have you heard the theory? Hold on a second. You heard the theory that all of Bob's paintings are where he unalived someone. Weird conspiracy theory. Imagine that if he was a unbelievable unaliver, serial unaliver. I always think that when I know a super nice guy, like there's a guy that everyone thinks is a great guy. So do I. And in my mind, the first thing that goes off is like, I bet he's a serial killer. This is what serial killers are like. They're super nice, and everyone thinks that they're unbelievable. And that's how they get away with it. because they're super nice. And everyone's not. It's not going to be that. That guy's not a serial killer. How could he be? He's too nice. He's got 3 kids. He's a super great guy. Mm-hmm. Lasers go, people. I didn't make it up. The internet did. Was he a hitman too, like Mr. Rogers? Yeah. Well, see, now as I get older, I believe that we talked about the Echelon Institute past 2 years. This kind of school for influencers that they go in and they get up-notched intellectually a bit. They become amazing debaters. And they're slightly smarter than the average Joe, right? It's like there's this video I keep seeing. It keeps being shown to me. Now, I wish I had it. If I was better at this, I would probably have it ready, right? But we're just going off the top of our head. It's a man talking about his fear of peeing on the side of a bowl. And it's his own internal thoughts. And it's basically, he's like, it goes something like this. Sometimes I like to pee on the side of the bowl, so it doesn't make the sound, like a mud bath. Sometimes I feel like the sound is not, who wants to hear that? It's like a hose hitting a water, and everyone knows it's kind of, my pee hitting the water. But then it's like when I pee on the side, I negate the sound of it. But then there's all this, collateral spray that I don't know where it's going. Is it going on the wall? Is it going on my pants? Yeah, I feel like I just kind of made the video better. When you see, you might be disappointed, but you know what I mean? That's his thoughts, right? And now I was thinking, what I think about probably too often, maybe all day long when I take little breaks. I wonder if there are men out there that watch as many Andrew Wilson debates as I do. Like never would I ever think of watching debates as being fun. But I tell you, I'm pretty simple. I see an Andrew Wilson debate, I click on it. And I watch it no matter what. Because I like high level anything. So I may not be a fan of ringette. Yeah, even high level ringette, I'm not going to watch. High level WNBA, not going to watch. Just high level any sport. For instance, I don't know. Even with hockey, like I won't watch normal hockey, but I'll watch the playoffs. To me, it's the high level aspect of the league. So when it comes to debating, this is how nothing's going on in the Bitcoin sphere, is that when I'm just basically talking about nothing except for Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson is like the Wayne Gretzky of debating. He can coil somebody up like a black belt jiu-jitsu like I've never seen. And I mean, who are these sacrificial lambs that are just like, hey, do you want to debate Andrew Wilson? Sure. They all get slaughtered. Like maybe there's one where he gets slaughtered, but I haven't seen it. And then I think, well, how do you get slaughtered if you have, they call it the Greek, a classical education, the trivium. And a lot of these Echelon Institute influencers go through it and they learn the classic Greek trivium, which we don't, right? They might in those private schools, that those rich elites send their kids away when they're 6 o'clock. Oh, time for boarding school. That's it. We're done being parents. In the 6 years we did have you, we had 2 nannies, but we are still your mom and dad. And then they send them out there to these high-paying elite private schools where they learn the trivium, the classic Greek education, and us dummies go in and now, man, what they learn in school is so stupid. It's unbelievable. The school system is I don't know. Anyway, the story that I wanted to share here, while there's nothing going on, should I put on the chart? Maybe it's better than we'll put on a noisy little so-and-so, just so we know where we're at right now. Now, this may only mean more to the people that watch the live piano bar. But as you know, or maybe I haven't said anyway, I was having vocal problems. And it was one of the reasons why I stopped making videos for a while, is because I just couldn't sing in the morning. I literally had no voice. And so what I did was, in Canada, you have to go to your doctor and then get referred to a specialist. And this whole process can take minimum a year, up to, who knows, 3 years. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. There's other ways, right? There's other ways to do this. And so I left a message on this ENT, ear, nose, and throat doc, that I was a professional singer and I needed a meeting, and can you phone me back? Anyway, they never did. Well, maybe they didn't, but here's long story short. After I was done talking, leaving the message, I realized that they were just around the corner. I'm like, well, gosh darn it, I'm going to drive to this place. Now, most people would think, well, you just can't drive to this specialist. Why not? So I did. And I drove to it, and I walked up to the receptionist. I'm like, I was told to say this by another singer who did this, right? His name's Danny Kramer. I walked up and I said, I'm a professional singer, and something's wrong with my voice, and I need to know if I'm making it worse by singing, et cetera, et cetera. And the woman looked at me and said, you need a referral. He doesn't see people without referrals. I'm like, I don't have one. And my doctor, who I know from the squash club, in the summer goes and has a bison farm. So he's out of the picture. So I said this to her, and she's like, okay, wait a second, I guess. Right there, that's the Leonardo. I'm in. I knew I was in right there. Anyway, I go sit there, and half an hour later, she's like, well, you can see it tomorrow. So I go in there, and I see him, and he scopes me. Even the thought of it just gives me the creeps. When an ENT scopes you, he puts a camera up your nose, and it goes through your nose, and it goes down your throat, and it wants to look at your vocal cords, and it gives you the gag reflex because it's sitting there, hitting there, and then every time you swallow, it has a suction and pulls a little down. It's just it's not a good experience. Anyway, he scoped me. This is 24 hours later of me in like dire stress. And he's like, yeah, you have a small polyp on your left vocal fold. And these are benign, they're not like cancerous growths or anything. And he's like, that's what's making your voice sound the way it is. And I'm like, so what the hell? How do I do this? And he's like, well, I recommend a speech pathology first. And then if that doesn't work, we will, explore surgery. It's a small 30-minute little zzz. I'm like, okay. And then I went to this speech pathologist, and she basically gave me all these things that I do anyway, but not on a daily basis. And anyway, there was a week there I went out to Victoria Beach, which was to me the worst my voice ever was. Waking up, I could barely talk. I didn't want to talk. It hurt. It didn't really hurt, but it was effort. It's because what happens is that there's a little hole in your vocal cords, and so air goes through. So it's like you don't have the suction and the phonation happening. It's a long story. It's like, isn't this a Bitcoin channel? Yeah, it is. I think you would like Leonardo Jolie. Not to divide the topic. I love Leonardo. Like, I always say this, she's super funny, ... for a girl. And the reason I say that is because I know even she would appreciate that sentiment. Anyway. And every time I would do a show, I didn't know if I could pull it off, and I would somehow, but I would cheat. You know, if anyone's been watching, they're probably, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's like, my piano man, he's not singing the same as he used to sing. You know, I couldn't go for it and I couldn't dial in character. I was just like, can I get this? No, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't fun. And so last Friday, after the show, I was like 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, listen, I phoned that same message. I'm like, you got to get me an appointment with Dr. Barkman. We got to schedule surgery so I know when to, you know, what to do with my professional career here, how long I'll be out, blah, blah, blah. And then if you can imagine the 80s and I'm on a landline with an old fashioned, you know, the little coily thing. And as soon as I said, okay, thanks, and hang it up, it's like, it's almost like Quantum Leap. Remember Quantum Leap? It was like a slow motion. And I put the phone down, and then I entered a new dimension. The dimension was instant recovery. Now it sounds weird. It sounds very weird. Because the next day, I phoned a buddy of mine who I knew had this surgery. He was a soccer coach, and he blew his voice out yelling at kids. And he had the same doctor. He's a famous doctor. He's done Bryan Adams, but he's in Winnipeg. You know, that's why everything leads to Winnipeg in a weird way. And he's like, oh yeah, you should get the surgery. It's unbelievable. I got it, and within a day, I was like back to normal. I thought, but you're not a singer. Anyway. He's like, I can tell by your voice that you have exactly what I had and what other people have that phoned me. Right? He's kind of like this cheerleader for this doctor. And so I'm like, okay, thanks. And then that day, I said to myself, if this is going to affect my voice, I'm going to lean into it. If I become Tom Waits, that's not the worst thing. If I lose a octave, but I have a mega character in a growly, distorted voice, I can work with it. So I kind of emotionally capitulated into, you know, mercy of it. I'll let the chips fall at where they may. And then I did the show Saturday. And I noticed, Lord love a duck, something's changed. And I woke up Sunday. And normally you have to understand when I was dealing with this, a day after singing, I barely had a voice. That's how I knew something was wrong. Like the recovery was just off the charts. Like I didn't know if I would recover. And then I knew I had this. So Monday morning, they phoned me. It's like, yeah, we can schedule you for about, in a month or so. And I'm like, put me on a list. I'm 20 minutes away. I can come in at any time. Okay, boom. So then she phones me back 15 minutes later. Says, yeah, we got something on Wednesday. It's a long story. I'm trying to make it short. And between Monday and Wednesday, so this is yesterday, Monday and Wednesday, I noticed with the exercises I was doing, things like, for instance, when I got super chats on Monday, I don't know if you guys remember, I'm like, I don't know if I can do this, but let's try it. And I was, you know, Carl Elder, you know, all of a sudden it's like, what the fuck? You got to understand, like, for the past 3 months, there was no voice in the morning. That's why, like, I stopped doing the TA videos because there was no voice. And I was like, well, that's weird. So by the time Wednesday came around, which I was going to schedule the surgery, I'm like, listen, doc, this is a crazy thing. I came here to schedule surgery, you know, to find out, you know, what the timeline is. And he told me, well, you know, as a normal person, it would be 3 to 6 months, but, you know, as a professional singer, I could probably, you know, put you on a list and get you in with 3 weeks. Okay, great. And I was like, the thing is, you know, something's changed in the past 3 days. I was like, okay, well, so you don't sound like you did when you came in here 3 weeks ago. It's like, well, let's take a look. And I wasn't emotionally prepared for another scope, but it's like, I know people would give anything to get scoped. You know, they just sit there and wait there for 12 months. That's a Canadian way. Elbows up, wait for your medical system 12 months later. Anyway, get into the chair, scopes me, butts it up my nose, butts it down the throat. Makes me gag, eyes watering. And he's like, yeah, it's gone. And he zips it up and he takes the camera out. And I'm like, what do you mean it's gone? It's like, it's completely rescinded or recited or whatever. Like, now, does that mean it's smaller? than it was, or it's gone? He's like, it's gone. And I said to the doctor, I'm like, what the fuck? And he's like, listen, these things do go away. I've never seen them go away in 3 weeks. Usually it's a long time. But they do go away eventually. The body will heal, or if it doesn't, we do surgery and zap it off. So I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, well, you should probably still stay with the speech path. I'm like, well, okay, I'll stay with her for a bit. It's expensive though, because here's another story. If I weren't to pay for the speech path, yeah, it can be paid for by the government. I would be on a waiting list for 9 months still just to go to some speech path. 9 months later, so I got to pay for it. It's expensive, but so's not singing. It was a real humbling experience to go through. And I think it's one of those tests that life gives you when you're getting a little bit too big for your britches and you start forgetting, how you got to where you are, why your life is the way your life is. And I had to do an inventory because my sister said, she's like, I can understand how maybe depressing it would be losing your voice, because your voice has been everything to you. And that was the moment. That was my Leonardo DiCaprio. You're right. It has been everything. So when I think about what I've done with my voice in my whole life, it's my whole life. It's always been music, singing. I was an auctioneer. That's the voice. As a use the term loosely, content creator. All I do is talk here for fucking 40 minutes. I got to go. Anyway, I got to take Duke to that. Thanks for listening. I just thought I'd share that story and the powerful aspect of mind and body, the relationship, because there was no drugs involved. There was just, hoping that things could do. I do have a mantra. I'm not going to say it right now, but maybe tomorrow we'll talk about the mantra that I always say to myself every day. It's a healing mantra. It may be, I'm reaching for the button, Bruce. You're right. I'm reaching for the button.
Make sure you like and subscribe and share this video.